Yesterday, both Uber and Lyft dropped in price when the Biden administration again signaled the possibility that the drivers for both Uber and Lyft may no longer be classified as independent workers, but instead as employees. It often amazes me how dumb the average Democrat really is when it comes to entrepreneurship. Okay, it actually amazes me how dumb the average Democrat is on many topics, like freedom, economics, math, and, even the Constitution. But let me get back to the story about Uber and Lyft. So Uber started this rideshare company, and people who needed for people who needed a little extra money, and it was like a godsend to them. It allowed the average person to become in charge of their financial situation by taking their car and driving it to pick up someone who needed a ride and dropping them off at their destination. Honestly, it was a brilliant idea for all people involved. It was a win-win-win. The company who created it made money. The driver who signed up to be a driver with very little qualifications made money when and if they wanted to. And finally, the consumer gets to ride in a nice, clean vehicle with a nice driver. And it's just really, really nice. So it's a win-win-win. So what could screw this up? Oh, yeah, the government. This rideshare program made anyone an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs like to be independent. They like to take care of their own expenses. They take care of their own taxes. And frankly, anyone who is on a 1099 income, better known as an independent contractor, often has many write-offs that employees are not entitled to. Independent contractors usually do much better than employees at the same rate of pay. Let me explain where this is going. If you're a company and you hire someone to perform a function in your business, in most cases that person is considered an employee. Employees have certain rights as employees, such as minimum wage, overtime, and possibly health insurance benefits. The employee must also have certain taxes withdrawn from their pay, and the employer must match their Social Security tax. The employer also needs to pay for unemployment insurance funds and workman's compensation insurance. As you may have already concluded, paying someone $15 an hour on the books can cost about $20 an hour to the employer. There's another classification of worker called an independent contractor. These workers are paid an amount and the employer has no other obligations, like the insurance or Social Security taxes that we mentioned above. You would assume that every employer would just want to hire all of their employees as independent contractors. But the IRS and the government aren't stupid. All right, well, they are, but they do have a distinct ruling on who can be an employee and who can be an independent contractor. If you try to fool them and hire what they identify as an employee and pay them as a contractor, you will be facing major fines and possible labor law violations. The IRS has come up with several qualification tests for the difference between an employee and an independent contractor. The most important part of this test basically comes from the relationship of the person doing the work with the employer. Some of the simple test rules say that a contractor has to be able to set their own schedule and cannot be forced to a set schedule. Another rule is that the person doing the work needs to show that they're active in working for others or pursuing working for others. They are not bound to one job at one location. These are some of the tests, but here is one big one that's getting sticky. And what it comes down to is the length of the relationship of the worker to the company. It could be said that if a person is working for the same company for a prolonged period of time, that person should have and should be classified as an employee. This is where Uber and Lyft and things like DoorDash and stuff like that are running into problems with local Democrat prosperity-killing states and now possibly the prosperity-killing government. Governor Useless in California tried to classify all Uber and Lyft drivers as employees in an effort to steal their tax money. I think he just needed a raise to get more hair gel and maybe some more tooth polish. But anyway, luckily for the drivers and the company, it was overruled. But now the government and the IRS are revising this classification once again. Some feel that the Uber and Lyft drivers should be classified as employees. Well, some people I'm talking to, of course, are Democrats. Those are the Democrats want this. Trump had protections in place for these drivers and for real independent contractors, but in an effort to continue to undo everything good that Trump did to this country or for this country, Biden has reversed some of those protections. He's also proposing new rules of classification that may make Uber drivers employees, basically destroying the entire business ride-sharing model. The drivers don't want this. The company doesn't want this. And the general public likes ride-sharing companies. So why do it? The answer is real simple, so the greedy Democrats can take away the money and the joy of a great concept. Of course, both stocks, Uber and Lyft, dropped significantly yesterday on the news. Both of these stocks have been beaten up. By the way, I think Uber is still a better play, but as soon as all this settles, both of these companies will recover nicely, and honestly, Uber's going to just win anyway because they're going to have all autonomous cars, so it doesn't really matter. And all these people that the government wants to screw aren't even going to be working anymore.